Welcome to Get Biz, Do Biz, Get Pay. I am your host, Luan the Don. We're gonna find out what it really takes to win in the construction industry. What it really takes to make a lot of money, have a great life, and be able to do the thing that you wanted to do. Enjoy. If you are listening to this, thank you for tuning in. You probably struggle with how to handle your mental health while running a business. Sometimes it's really challenging, not knowing where to turn to, not knowing what to do. Nobody understands you, and sometimes you suffer in silence. And I'm here to tell you that that's not the case. Today, I have a few experts that blessed me with their presence. So I decided to do an impromptu live session. And this will be re released on my podcast, Get Biz, Do Biz, Get Pay. And today, we're going to stay away from the numbers a little bit. And we're going to go into the deep end of business and how to, survive while running a business, getting pressure from all over the place. Today, I welcome you two guests. We have a panel today of women in entrepreneurship. And I think I choose the wrong shirt today, but whatever. I have Kaitlyn Young, social media doctor owner. Kathryn Tague. She is a guru in personal development. I wouldn't put a title on what she does. Welcome to the show, guys. So, Caitlin, thank you for coming in my newly developed studio. And what's let's jump right into it. So when we talk about mental health in business, how closely does that related to personal life?
Oh my gosh, there's so many things. Like how you show up in business is how you show up in your personal life. And one of the things that I've really correlated is if my mental health is off, how I show up in my business is off. Like I'm not as on point. I am not showing up with the same tenacity and same stamina that I would, and not as bright for my team. So if your mental health is off, like you're not being the person you need to be for your team or your business.
Yeah. Um, what I've seen, so I've been an entrepreneur since 2015. So it's been a decade now. Is that it's a cycle. So when my business is struggling, it triggers my mental health to struggle. And as entrepreneurs, we know there are ebbs and flows, peaks and valleys. Um, and when my mental health suffers, when my emotional health suffers, my business also suffers. And so, as much as we would like to believe that we can compartmentalize, and that's how I was taught to do business is business and personal is personal. The reality is, especially when you're running like a small agency or a small family business, they're so closely interconnected that when one is off, it affects the other one. It's essentially unavoidable.
So wouldn't you say when people say, and this is I think one of the misconception that people get is when people say work-life balance or work-life, that's got to be a separation, there's got to be boundary. Um, but I don't feel like that is necessarily the case in mental health because you can't have, okay, my left side my brain is gonna do business and the
Mhm.
right side my brain is gonna do personal life. I can just split it right down in the middle. You got what is it, lobotomy or whatever you call it, right down the middle, and we call it work-life balance. You know as well as I do that that's not the case. So what is your definition of work-life balance? Maybe we need to redefine that definition a little bit for better context and how to deal with some of the challenges that we run into when running a business.
And it's funny that you say this. This is something you and I have talked about, Caitlin and I have talked about, with Thomas and I both being entrepreneurs. This is something we look at a lot. And I believe that balance is something that we are constantly striving for, but it's almost like a teeter-totter. You know what I mean? Like if even one tiny milliweight is off, right? Like just the tiniest little thing. If the breeze blows, if a feather falls on one side or the other, it's going to teeter totter. Um, and so while I think that balance is something to strive for, I think that it's more about being fluid. It's more about being flexible. It's more about recognizing sometimes the business is going to require more of your time and attention and energy, and other times your personal life. And being able to recognize when it's one or the other. And then there will come times where it feels like both things are imploding at the same time. And really, that's when some really specific things are important to have some type of morning routine. It doesn't have to be hours long. It doesn't have to start at 4:15 in the morning. All the business gurus out there are like, wake up at 3:45 in the morning and do 5 hours of meditation and 3 hours in the gym and get your entire workday done before at 9 a.m. That I don't believe in that. I don't teach that. What I do believe though is that 5 minutes of quiet time in the morning, even 3 minutes, if that's all you can do. Don't pick up your phone first thing. Don't immediately jump into answering your emails and, oh my gosh, got to do this and got to do, because that first 5 to 10 minutes in the morning is where you create your foundation for the day. Would I love to have an hour and a half every morning to like do all the things and have self-care? And of course I would, but I also have a partner who's a busy entrepreneur and 7 children. You know what I mean? So like if I can snatch 10 minutes alone before we're doing breakfast and getting ready for school and all that stuff, that's the foundation for my day. Also, having a tribe, having a tribe of people who are also entrepreneurs so that they can understand, having people, coaches, mentors, a therapist if you feel like that's something that would help you, friends who are also in business, people that you can message and just be like, yo, today is a shit show. And they don't need a big long explanation because chances are either yesterday or tomorrow is a shit show for them, right? Like people don't take into consideration how powerful the people you surround yourself with are for your mental health.
I agree on that 100%. Like every time that I've like really mentally struggled, it's because I didn't take that 5-10 minutes in the morning and I was like setting expectations of myself and things like that. Because again, like you said, a lot of these people out here are teaching like get up early, things like that. But having that 5-10 minute reset and then going into the day and being able to have tribe is huge.
Let me summarize that a little bit here. 5 minutes in the morning, just some quiet time for yourself, right? And then having a group of people who are in doing the same thing that you do, having the same challenges that you do, going through the same triumph and losses that you do. So then you can share those wins and those losses. And I think that's really important when you say that because most of the and I don't say this to minimize the problem or the trouble that we entrepreneur experience, but it's cyclical, right? It's the same shit over and over again. If it's not a sales problem, it's a client problem. It's not a client problem, it's a marketing problem, finance problem. It's basically it's all problem revolve around money or people,
Yep.
right? So when we think about it, guess what? I'm dealing with the same shit,
Yeah.
and I say that to minimize it, but really when you can define the problem, you can easily solve it. So, you know, if other people are struggling with you think that your problem is so unique, but you might not know that Caitlin was, contemplating of shutting down her business the other day over the same shit that you experienced, over some shitty client or over, a missed sales or whatever fuck that is. So that's why in my business, when we do one-on-ones and things like that, I am mostly a therapist for people. You
Mhm.
know, it's not that people can't do their job. It's not that people can't doesn't know how to sell. It's not that people doesn't know how to produce. It's not the people that doesn't know how to get shit done from A to Z. But sometimes they just need, hey, man, like I see you struggling. You know, it's okay to reach out. Hey, you're doing a good job. So sometimes it's for me the majority of the time it's just being a cheerleader for people. Don't you feel that that's kind of the same way for you too?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think something a lot of people don't understand about leadership, especially as a business owner, is that whether you title yourself a coach or therapist or not, especially when you have large teams like you guys do, that's such a huge piece of your job. Leadership isn't just telling people do this, do that. Leadership is teaching them how to do it, sometimes holding their hand through the process the first few times they do it. It's
Mhm.
constantly checking in. Good leaders don't just care about their people in the work setting, in the business setting, they care about their people as individuals. And so, one of the things that I teach my clients when we're working through leadership and mindset in that space is, do you know what their personal goals are? Have you sat down with each employee individually? It doesn't have to be long. It could be, 10 or 15 minutes, and made eye contact and found out what is their motivator. Some people are very money motivated. Some people are, it's just like the five love languages in a relationship or with parenting, but in business. And that is, what motivates them? What drives them? How do we help them align within the business with both their professional and personal goals? And so when you're running a large business, medium to large business, well, even if you only have 3 employees, knowing them on an individual level. And it also helps because, if they come into work one day and they're normally this really big, bubbly, happy person, and you can just tell something's weighing on them, taking 5 minutes, pulling them to the side and say, hey, I noticed that you seem to be really down today or really struggling. Is everything okay? What's going on? A lot of people don't want to pry, but at the same time, if our mental health affects our business, then it stands to reason that our employees' mental health is also going to affect our business. And so at the end of the day, if you can take the time to show interest, genuine interest, not like interest with an agenda or, oh, my coach and mentor told me I need to care about my employees, but like genuinely be interested in what motivates them. What does their life look like? What does their family look like? And actually care about what's happening with them and to them, you are going to have a better business. Your internal culture is going to be better. And that ultimately leads to doing better business, making more money. It has a lot to do with culture. And that's something I will say, Luan, you guys have done really, really well, is the culture that you've built inside of Deck Bros.
I have to agree on that part 100%, especially like you said, I got to experience it on site yesterday getting content. And the amount of times I heard you pick up the phone to check on your people, the amount of time you were like asking about someone's kid, things like that was just proved that. Like it was very apparent. And so when we take the time to, pour into our people and check on them on that level, they genuinely feel that we care and they want to do everything they can to show up to their best.
And I think, and this is, I do that. Part of it is that's just the way I'm wired, but I do that for my sanity too as well, right? So in business, either you're dealing with money problem or you're dealing with people problem, right? And the people problem sometimes is harder to solve than the money problem, right? The people problem, because people are complex and we human, we do stupid shit. But understanding that, understanding that is a majority of like how can we keep people happy so we can be happy because as a leader of a company, right? And this is one of those things that I'm going to tell you. You're gonna have mental health issue if you don't check on your people. You're
Yeah.
gonna have a mental health issue if you don't check on the money. So manage the money, manage the people, and if you don't do any of that, expect that you're gonna have anxiety. Expect that you're gonna go into depression. Expect that. So instead of just masking the problem, which is, oh, I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna have a drink, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. What I would do is maybe fix the real cost, the real issue, and it's gonna come up, right? You hire new people, they're not listening to you. You hire you bring on a new process, it's not making any money. You hire a marketing agency that is not turn out like expected. Your CPA ended up fucking misfiling tax, and you owe the IRS a bunch of money, a bunch of other shit that could come up at any time in business. But that's what we sign up for, guys.
It is. So let me ask you this, because what I found too is that, because you mentioned you're either going to have money problems or people problems. What I found is that they feed each other. Because if you have people problems, they start affecting your money. And when you have money problems, they start affecting your people. And it turns into, and I have watched friends' businesses and, even clients' businesses spiral down the drain because they're, one, unwilling to address these issues, but two, they refuse to see how they're connected to each other.
And again, I want to rephrase it. This is a session how to deal with mental health problem in your business. I'm not here to kiss your ass. I'm not here to tell you that the world is rosy. I'm not here to tell you that it's gonna be better. No, shit happen in business. People get fired. People do crazy stuff. People steal from people, and people do shit. So that's the assumption that you have to make, right? And another assumption is like we in business to make a profit. So if we don't make a profit, the assumption is you're gonna be in anxiety. And business is very hard, very cruel. So having those assumptions going into business is it's kind of give you a frame of mind to deal with it, right? Because I know we're gonna have problem when we bring on sales guy. I know we're gonna have problem when we bring on PM. I know we're gonna have problem when we're trying to grow. I know all of this. I signed up for this. So I think part of a lot of people problem is they don't accept that. They think that it should just be easy. It should just be, oh, like this. Like I should just have a business that run by itself. I should have this. And this is one of the things that I do not like that much about these coaching entrepreneur space, all this program that's selling you the pipe dream that hey, you can just hire an integrator and you can just be out of business and you can just run the business on 4 hour a week. Yeah, but that's not your business anymore. You are more. That's different. That's
Yeah.
you're an investor now. You're an owner now. That's different. But for most of us that we are trying to actively build something right now, you in the shit. You in the we. Like it's not hustling one day and then take a vacation for 1 week. It's more like hustling for a whole week and taking a day off,
Yep.
hustling for 2 weeks and taking a couple of days off. So, y'all got it all flip flop and oh, EOS, entrepreneur system. Bro, you're doing like 300,000 a year. There's no fucking EOS for you. I'm sorry. You're gonna have to do everything for a little bit,
Yes.
and you can hire an assistant, this and that. So the reality is most people buy into these dreams too early. And for me, I went from 1 to 3 to 5 to 10 to now I'm trying to hit 15. There is every stage of the business require a different version of me.
Yeah.
Every stage of the business require me to wear a different hat. And now I'm more of a engineer and an architect. I'm less of a learner and a doer, and possibly less of a coach now, but now I have to engineer the system to find the maximum way that can manifest the profit.
Yeah.
and the maximum cultural system that can manifest the people,
Yeah.
right? Because you have to grow people and you have to grow the money. And that is to me, I'm simple, right? So there's only two pillar that you need to focus on to make sure that you don't go home and you stress out about some shit and you can't have dinner with your kid and you can't even talk about anything other than the fucking business,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then take care of the business.
Yeah.
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 And then you make a good point. Take care of yourself 5 minutes in the morning, an hour in the morning, whatever. You like me, you don't have to really do anything, but just say, I'm just gonna be lazy for 10 minutes. That's okay too.
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is that you need to do to get yourself right here so that you can go out and you can handle the money and you can handle the people. You know what I mean? And that's different for different people. And I think the belief that there's some sort of cookie cutter way to build a business, cookie cutter way to do a morning routine, cookie cutter way to coach, cookie cutter way to do your finances, like that's like you said, like there's all these programs out there and they're like, just do what I tell you and you'll be a millionaire tomorrow. And it's like, that's not real. That's not real. We are all different people in different markets with different, foundationally SOPs, things like that. Yeah, those may be relatively consistent across the board, but the reality is the business I've built is not the business Kaitlyn's built. The business Kaitlyn's built is not the business you've built. The business you've built is not the business someone else has built. They may look the same on the surface, but the reality is we're all individual people. And so we need to do for us what works for us and
Yep.
stop listening to Joe Schmo on the internet who is screaming about, do what I tell you and you'll make millions of dollars.
Yeah, the other thing that a common thing I see is a lot of people are like, when I get to X, then I can enjoy my life, then I can have that balance, then I can have that. But if we're always chasing that like goal and dream and not living in the moment too, and this is something you've gone really heavily with me, Kathryn, is like if we're not taking that time to actually live the life while we're building and taking that time to be present in the mix and always looking at, well, I'll have time with my family in 5 years when I get my business there. I'll have
Yeah.
time with this when I get there. Like the reality is now you've missed out on 5 years with your kids, with your husband, whoever it is. You missed out on all these memories and stuff that you won't be able to recover. So make the time now, and that'll help with the mental health side too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think too though, again, there's this in between, right? Because yes, you absolutely have to live in the moment, but I've also seen, it's been very popular for the last couple of years where it's like, don't think about yesterday, don't worry about tomorrow, just focus right here and now. And while that's valid and true, especially as business owners, we do have to think about tomorrow. We do have
Absolutely.
to think about next week. We do, not worry about it, but like if you're not future planning,
Mm-hmm.
you're you may wake up tomorrow and not have a business, so like how do you, I hate to even use this word, but like, how do you find that balance? And the reality is, again, we're back to that teeter totter scenario. It's just being able to step back and look at the big picture
Mm-hmm.
and not getting so focused on what's immediately in front of you that you lose sight of that, while also being able to focus on what's right in front of you. Like entrepreneurs, we want to talk about mental health of entrepreneurs. We all start out a little bit crazy
Mm-hmm.
and we go a little bit more crazy every single day. That's mental health for entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
We're all unbalanced.
So let me summarize that. Accept that life as an entrepreneur is going to be unbalanced.
Mhm.
Accept that there's going to be time that you have to work on the business more, and accept there's going to be time that you have to pay attention to for your family more.
Yeah.
And accept that sometime, I want to insert, sometime you need help.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need help, and as an entrepreneur, I know a lot of people are very ego driven, and that's fine to a certain point. But then at a certain point where you don't, it's not that you, I'm not saying anybody can't solve the problem on their own. They probably could. There's a lot of smart people in this space. Just look at their Facebook. They're all smart. They're all having success in their life. They're all having rags to riches story. But sometimes, what if I don't want to solve the fucking problem? I'm tired.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
What if I don't want to do that? What if I don't want to work on myself? What if I don't? What if I don't want to? Because the mental capacity is not there. It's just like a business have cash flow. Well, my mental flow is dry. I don't want to flow no more. I just want to relax. And that is not, to me, that's not a side weakness when you ask for help. I ask for help all the time. I'm like, shit, can you help me? Can you help me? Can you help me? And you say, no, I'll go ask another person. uh, but the reality is, to manage this mental health and entrepreneurship balance with personal life is there's a lot of assumption that you have to take, and there's a assumption that you can't be perfect. You can't just please everybody. Sometimes you got to piss some people off, and that's okay, right? And I mean, if you really have problems, like, I mean, go see a fucking doctor. Like, if you're having like suicidal thoughts and shit like that, like, talk to somebody, reach out to me, reach out to anybody.
Mhm.
Hey, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And then when we tell you what to do, if you don't do it, then we can't help you. Like, there's way to get out. Like, if you think that you are suffering in silence, if you think that you are suffering that nobody understands you, trust me, I understand you, because we've been there. There's time where me and Jazz sit on the bed and talk about, you know, I pay attention too much to the business. I pay attention too much to this. You never around. Those conversations happen with me too. But knowing when to turn the ship around and knowing when to recognize that, maybe this shit is not as important I think it is. Maybe the deck will still be there. Maybe the work will still be there. Maybe the client gonna be pissed for a couple of days. Who gives a fuck, right? So at the end of the day, when you can recognize that, prioritize that, I shouldn't say compartmentalize it, but compartmentalize that nobody gonna die.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
But you might if you keep if you
Yeah.
keep if you keep jumbling all this thing together, right? And I go back to what I say earlier. You sign up for this shit.
Mhm.
Like me easily right now, I think that if that bro were to ever go down, I can go sell car and make 200,000 a year easily. I can go sell home improvement and make 300,000 easily. I can generate my own lead and do all this thing. I can do a lot of things without headache.
Mhm.
But why do I keep doing this? Well, the money is nice, first of all. Freedom is nice. And I chose this.
Yep.
Yeah, I sit down, write a budget for this. I hired coaches for this. So when the problem come my way, guess what? Time to deal with it.
Yep.
Mhm.
Be a man about it. I shouldn't even say that. That's sexist. Be a
Be a
human.
grown up. Be a grown up
Be
about
a
it.
grown up. There you go. That's the right
That's
word.
right.
Be a grown up about it and deal with the problem head on.
Yeah.
Right? If there's a tough conversation you need to have at work, the time to have it was yesterday.
Mhm.
Yep.
If there's money problem, that there's a power shit that you don't want to peak, like, oh, maybe that's a little tax bill right there. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. Oh, the cash a little low, it's fine. I lose a little bit money over here, it's fine. And eventually it become a power shit. And
Mhm.
all of a sudden, oh man, I need a credit line. You see how easy that is? Your
Yeah.
eyes, if you need to get a check, go get a check. Your eye is the key to your mental health. So you got to keep check on your finances and your people. And like yesterday, I think my friend, my brother, the other owner, called me and say Trent is struggling and blah 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 blah. And then and that was just with recent week, and we addressed it right away. But having, because sometimes as men, especially men in construction industry, and women have a better support system.
Yes.
Generally, I'm not saying all the time, generally, but as men, they feel like they're on an island.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They feel like if they reach out, and society, especially in America, I don't know, y'all weird. In America, if men cry, it's like, oh man, he weak. If men say that, I need help, then they consider as weak. There's a lot of strong people that is broke, man.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're not asking for help. They're not openly to receive that. And this is the thing when people talking about ego in business is they talking about this right here. When you're stuck and your ego is too big to ask for help, they're not talking about like when you get a little win and you brag a little bit. Shit, fuck, brag, because this shit's hard, right? You suffer. Why can't you brag?
Mm-hmm.
Why is somebody gonna go take it away from me? Well, I built this shit anyway, so you take it, I'm gonna build it again. So that's the mentality that you need to have, right? And if you're stuck, it's okay to ask for help. But if you win, it's okay to share your wins.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that's the two side of the coin here. Like if you're stuck, it's okay to ask for help. But if you win, fuck, let motherfucker know about it.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah. I think you're right
Oh,
about the pride and ego thing too, though. Like we see that so much. I see that so much with my clients. And even like they're literally paying me to work with them, and they come into my space and I'm like, "What is going on?" And they're like, "Don't worry about it." This is literally why I'm here though. It is literally my job to help you solution this and navigate this and walk through this, and you're literally paying me to be in this space with you, and you won't even tell me what's going on. We have such unbelievably high rates of suicide for men specifically in this country. We talk a lot about, vets and things like that, but we don't talk about just sort of the suicide rates for men in general. The reality is, we live in a culture that has raised men to suffer in silence. They suffer in silence, and marriages fail, businesses fail, they take their own lives, they blow up their relationships with their families, they have no relationships with their children. And while there is a layer of personal responsibility that comes along with that, the reality is we have raised our men and our boys in a culture and a society that, like you said, teaches them if you cry, you're weak. If you ask for help, you're weak, and it's weaponized against them. They're treated as though they're disposable. And, it's we see it so much in the entrepreneurial space too, because so much of their self-worth is tied to their success. And as a culture, we look at success as the number of dollars in your bank account. And I'm not saying that that isn't one of the ways that we measure success. And it's easily tracked, and it's something that we can point at that's tangible. But success is also how healthy you are. It's how healthy your relationships are. It's the culture that you've built in your business. It's kind of leads you have coming in, right? Like success is measured in so many different ways, but we don't allow men to have that. We don't allow men to have that. And we certainly don't allow them to ask for help.
Growing up, I saw so many guys just shut up and deal with it, and it's sad how many guys suffer out there. The other thing that I've noticed is that, like, when we do have those spaces that we create sometimes for the guys to have, like, those feelings and stuff like that, we like creating those spaces is so important, is what I'm trying to say. Because we don't. And so, as a woman who is married to, like, a guy and stuff like that, being able to support them in that way, taking that second to go, hey, check in with how your husband's feeling, how your guy friend's feeling, and making sure, that's one way we can help them in that way and ensure them that you're not going to go, haha, Luan cried on video, or, Scott cried on video, and,
Right.
being able to have that safe space for them to be able to talk to.
I talk about this, and some people might never change, right? The number one thing to be authentic is to not give a fuck about what other people think, right?
Mhm.
Like, I don't care. I tell people I cry all the time. Shit. Who cares? Are you gonna wipe my tears? Pay my bills? I don't think so. We're such an individualistic society that sometimes it's like it's almost like they teach us to be wrong to be communal, you
Yes.
know, to band together, to share our feelings, to share our suffering, but the pain is usually half when you share it with somebody,
Mhm.
and joy is usually double when you share it with somebody. You know, read a post the other day that's saying that you should not be loud when you achieve a new level of success, blah, 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 something like that. Or you might squander it all away. I'm like, man, shut the fuck up, dude. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, if I'm loud, I'm gonna talk about it. You know why? Because that attract more money into my circle. It
Mhm.
works this way. It doesn't work. It doesn't like success doesn't repel money. Success attract money.
Yep.
Success breed motivation. And if the people who say, "Oh, you should not be loud about it," they're not your people. I'm telling you, they're not your people because they want you to not have that. They don't want you to find your tribe. So for man and woman too, like if you have some success in your life, talk about it. And you know what? Better yet, have other people talk about it for you.
Mhm.
If you don't want to be, oh man, I don't want to be too boastful. I'm like, what if you don't? Because let's face it, like sometimes we gotta scratch our ego a little bit, right? Fuck, I did this shit. I did this. Oh, like I love how all the big guy is like, oh, quiet your ego down, this and that. Motherfucker, you got 20 billion. You can say what the fuck you want. And you say, oh, you got to go with your ego. It's still true
Mhm.
because life is never black and white. It's a nuance in between where and when, how to apply what and where. So you got to go through it. Uh, quiet your ego, is it right? Yeah, but if you quiet it too much, nobody gonna pay you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nobody gonna pay you. I'm telling you, nobody gonna pay you. So, but if you be too loud about it, too cocky about it, then nobody gonna work for you.
Yep.
So it's always two sided of the coin, right? And you can apply that to anything. So the same thing back to the mental health issue. Two sided of the coin. You can't be too deep into a certain thing, right? You can't be too deep in your personal life that you sidebar your business. You can't be too deep in the business that you sidebar your personal life, and to find a harmony in that, I think that one of the things that we forgot to mention is you gotta have faith
Mm.
because entrepreneurship is constantly charging into the unknown, and if you don't have faith, especially with yourself, with God, with yourself, uh, then you won't be able to do anything. Operating in faith is better than operating in doubt. And people say, "How you know it's gonna work?" I don't. I
Mhm.
don't know it's gonna work. But I know that if I do this and do this and do this, I'm good. You don't need to listen to any of these influencer telling you how to live your life because only that's only your life to live. And I think that's when men, we give our identity to these figures. We give our identity, the way of life to these figures. And man, like I don't fucking want to work out every day. I don't want to be a six pack. Is it bad? Some people say it is. I think it's fine. I don't care. But when you achieve that, I don't give a fuck. then your mental health, you don't have to depending on whether or not I post this up, whether or not Kathryn's gonna be happy, whether or not Clifton's gonna be happy, whether or not what's Diamond gonna say about this, what Caitlyn gonna say. I don't give a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
They can say whatever the fuck they want. Oh, I'm not editing that. I'm leaving that up. Say what you want. Oh my god, I lost a follower. Oh,
Oh no.
oh no, oh no. For men, especially, I think the number one thing that's gonna change your world is stop giving a shit.
Yeah.
It's not that important.
Stop
You know,
stop seeking external validation. Like
yeah,
if you're good right here, none of the other stuff matters.
yeah, I'm already happy. You know, and I tell people if that row fall, it's not like, oh my God, they're gonna think that, I'm a bad business. If that's false, shit, I can go work, I can do something else. That's just like one tiny industry in a fucking $1 trillion market. It's not the end of the world. Like that, and this is sad, but there's people that commit the suicide over stupid shit like this. And I don't say that to minimize your mental health problem. If you really do struggle, go talk to some people. Go take some medicine. Go do something. Maybe close down your business. Go work for somebody. If it's really that bad. But if it's not that bad, to me anyway, maybe I deal with it all the time. Maybe I grew up in the environment. Because you know what's bad? Not having running toilet.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's bad? Not having enough money to eat tomorrow. You know what's bad? Not be able to wake up like when it rain. Fucking rain come down to your face. You can't sleep. You know what's bad? Not having toilet paper. That's bad. You know what's bad? When it's freezing outside, you don't have a coat. So our problem here is all superficial. Oh my God, the client doesn't pay me well. Did you die? So when you really zoom out, what entrepreneur deal with is it's all superficial, right? It's all like like if somebody missed a payment, you ain't gonna die. If a person forgot to call a person back, nobody gonna die. Now, if somebody get hurt on a job, that's a priority. That's
Yeah.
different. So there's all this list, and then when you really step back and ask yourself one question, what's the worst that can happen?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. Most of it is nothing. It's just the story that we create inside of our head. Is like, oh my God, what's this client gonna say? What this person gonna say? What are they gonna think of me? Oh my God, I went out to lunch and I dropped something on my shirt. It's dirty right here. I can't go to like. Nobody cares. Nobody even look that close. And if they do, that's their problem, not your problem. So too many times I think we give our validation to the people outside of our purview, too much. But now the flip side of that is you can do whatever fuck you want, but you have to also accept whatever consequences that come with it.
That is truth. And I think that's the part people struggle with too. People definitely struggle with owning their choices and accepting the consequences to those choices. They wanted to do what they wanted to do, but once the consequences come in, suddenly it's everybody else's fault and they're a victim and it wasn't fair.
I agree. Like I used to be so victim-minded and it was so easy to do that because of the fact that then it wasn't my problem, but in the reality it was. The choices that you make every single day are what you will reap in 30, 60, 90 days. And so if you look back at 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and you're like, oh yeah, well, I, went out and did all that instead of focusing on my business or focusing on my husband or focusing on whatever I needed to. And you have to own that that was your choice. Every single decision you made was your choice.
The main question become, and maybe this is too broad question right now, how do you take care of your mental health in business and balance it with a personal life? I think we go round and round about, but we never really address that question. Kathryn, what if somebody like struggle right now? Like if I see up, like they're in the prison, right, of their own world. There's business coming at them, personal life coming at them. Maybe they're in their personal life, they're gaining weight, they're drinking night away, but they know that they need to change something. Like, what is your advice for a person that just that they don't feel the greatest right now? Like, what is the first step that they should take?
Honestly, the first step is recognizing that there's a problem. So many people are moving so fast, thinking that they can stay ahead of whatever it is, that they can outrun it. And the reality is, we all know you can't outrun your problems. So for me, getting them to slow down just a little bit and really take a clear look. And by clear look, I mean not when you're hungover, not when you've been drinking, not when you're high. Like, you have to be sober of mind and body before you can actually take a look at what's going on. And there's all these excuses. Oh, well, this, and oh, I don't have time, and blah. Make time. Make time. Stop with the fucking excuses. Make time.
Yep.
And really getting clear on what it is exactly you're looking at, because just like you said, Luan, a lot of times we've blown these things up in our mind. We've created these massive stories that are running the show. And when you actually get clear and you sit down and you start looking at what the issues are, what the problems are, whatever else it is, they're not as big as you think they are. It's like when we have a task that's only going to take 10 minutes, but it takes us 5 days to get it done because we've blown it so out of proportion. It's like when you're preparing to sit down and have a hard have a hard conversation,
Ouch.
right? Like, you've blown that conversation up in your mind to the point where, like, you've already had the argument, you've already fired them, or they've fired you, or you know what I mean? And then you go in to have the conversation and you're like, hey, we gotta do XYZ. And they're like, oh, okay. And you're like, oh my God, I just blew that. So getting calm, getting clear, getting sober, sitting down, bringing someone else in, whether it's your spouse or your business partner or your coach, who is not as emotionally attached to the situation or the outcome as you are, because a lot of times they can see it from a different perspective. They can help bring some calm and clarity into what feels really big and stormy to you, right? And then finding solutions. And we're not doing a whole life overhaul. We're not finding solutions to every single problem. We're picking one thing and saying, okay, this one thing, this is the solution to that. Okay, now let's look at the next thing. But when you look at it's like when you write up a to-do list and it's got 487 things on it and you get so overwhelmed you don't accomplish anything. Focusing on all of your issues, personal and business, all at once, it's going to overwhelm you, it's going to freeze you, and you're not going to get anything done. So you do things one at a time, one thing at a time, Kaitlyn.
I know. That was 100% at me. We literally had this conversation Tuesday, you and me. Like, I
Yeah.
was having one of those, oh my gosh moments where I was freaking out. I was doing the whole thing. And then you're like, okay, girl, it's not that serious. This is
Take
not
your
the
time.
end of the world. You're fine. Like, you're really going down the rabbit hole here. And like, you're right. Like, it's so easy to look at a to-do list and be like, oh my gosh, I have 25,000 things to do. I only have this many hours to do it. I'm gonna have to stay up till 2 a.m. and you start going down this rabbit hole. And so being able to get to a point where you're aware, you're like, okay, we're not going down the rabbit hole. We're not doing that today because we're going to take this one thing, we're going to do it, we're going to crush it, and then guess what? We'll go to the next thing when it's time,
Well,
and
and what
make
we find
yeah.
too is a lot of times when you solve that one thing, it clears 2 or 3 other things further down the list.
Yep, absolutely. I've had, and that's part of being strategic about the list too, is like if you look at the list and you're like, oh, if I knock this one thing off, then 5 of the other things go away.
And that really does help mental health wise, because all of a sudden, all of these things that have been weighing you down, you start feeling lighter.
Mm-hmm.
You say something that really important there is emotionally invested. That's to me that's the difference between being passionate and and being emotional.
Mhm.
Being emotional is you let the emotion take over and make a decision for you.
Mhm.
Being passionate is recognize the emotion, deal with the emotion, and let your logic mind make the decision based on what that emotion is telling you. So that's a two different set of decision. Being so it could be like you drinking, right? You, all of a sudden, like you want to fire this guy that been fucking just cracking your ass at work, and just kind of push your button. So you call him, you fire him right then. That's emotional. Passionate is recognize, oh shit, I probably need to have a conversation with him. Let's schedule up a time. Let's have a script of why we let him go, and let's just keep it short as possible. But you using that emotion to keep your passion alive and making a decision based on logic. So it's hard. I mean, nobody says it's easy, because we all emotional creature, but having somebody is not emotionally invested in your business, and that's why I have not one coach, not two coach, but three or four, because sometimes I want to see their angle. I'm not necessarily gonna take their advice on things, but I just want to see their angle of things, and maybe there's a fresh angle that I didn't see. And sometimes having those people in your corner pull you away from the problem.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
and then having that dedicated space to like, okay, let's just slow down and get some shit done, right? Because
Mhm.
because really the thing that moved the needle in the business, there's only a few things. And I bet you if you're struggling, you're not doing any of it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You're not training your people, you're not onboarding your people right, you're not doing marketing, you're not writing down processes. The thing that actually moved the needle is not the sales itself, but training the sales guy. It's not the production itself, but training the production guy. It's not the it's not onboard, it's not hiring people, but hiring and training people at the same time. And at a certain level, you're hiring trainer to train the people that want to train your people. It's so it goes on like that. But if you don't make time for those tasks, the same problem is going to happen. You're still going to have to say, it's like if you don't know how to sell, you're still going to have the same objection. If you don't know how to market, you're still going to have the shitty lead. So there's things that you need to solve in your business. And there's only like people say there's five pillars. I say only three pillars. Can you get the business if you don't get help? Can you do the business if you don't get help? Can you get paid if you don't, man? You really need to work on the first two.
Yep.
So there's only three phases of the business, right? Can you get the business? Can you do the business? Can you get paid? And in your personal life, I can't help you there. I mean, if you have a bad relationship with your wife, that's Kathryn's problem. It's not that's not my problem. Like I do not want to mess with people's personal life. But if you want some sage business advice, it's simple, but it works. And you can hit me up. Otherwise, hit Kathryn up. She'll be able to point you in the right direction. Give you that much needed bird eye view that you were always looking for. So any last parting word, Kathryn?
My last parting word: get biz, do biz, get paid.
Okay.
Ditto.
Thank you for tuning in for our special episode. I don't know what we're going to talk about next, but I think it's going to be fun. So I'm out. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. If you find this episode helpful or if it changed your life in a positive way in any manner, please share with another friend, tell another friend about this podcast. Again, thank you. Until next time.